校卒業時半や腹見た自称言語回復同一細工役者利子低い空意識式即税空即税式重装病死薬部尿税者利子税証国総務省副上部属減税国中部式部創業式無限意味税式無式証拠密無限界内し無意識外無明薬無明人内し無老死薬無老死人無復讐滅度無知薬無得意無常独行無大三角アンニャアラミタポシムテゲムテゲコンスクブオンリ祭天道無足行で完全勝物へアンニャアラミタポクラノクタ三脈三宝大高地アンニャアラミタ税大理主税大名主税無常主税無行動主無常一切不真実無法説アンニャアラミタ主絶種圧ギャデギャデアラギャデアソギャデオリソアカアンニャシンド願わくはこの思ってあまねくり才にも激しい
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have one good brother and one good sister. We have in the red corner the man who will eventually be peer pressured into reading Masters of Doom. Good brother Sig.
I blame you for this.
As I said last week, I regret nothing.
Of course you don't.
You cannot shame a man who has no shame.
Fair.
And in the blue corner, the one who is currently going through the other half of the alternating oracle approach with the Oracle duology that was almost a trilogy. Good sister Tabby.
Yeah. I'm actually going through the the easier one now after playing the keeping up with Sig whenever I was playing the harder one. I have to give him shit though.
Yeah. Give me all the shit you want. At least I caught up to you now.
It only took 4 hours.
There were plans for 3 Oracle games early on. I will note that. The only reason it didn't happen was because trying to have 3 games interconnect with each other like that on the Game Boy Color, the tech just couldn't handle it. I also think it was an issue of logistics, especially since this was a collaboration with Nintendo and Capcom.
Turned out really well. I mean, but in spite of everything.
Yeah. I will note the 3 interconnected thing was a very early thing that got cut. And you look in a game development history enough, you will find a thick cutting room floor of all manner of things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, as mentioned, this week's particular adventure is going to be is going to be a in-between session, since we already finished Farsight, which was really damn good, and I think some of you were plotting in the back of your mind about running that in the future. To which
For sure.
To which I say, mission accomplished. But obviously, whenever these are done, we have an in-between episode. Usually in the one-shot format that's covering a lighter game. And this time around, the wheel landed on Hunters of the Chalice Lands, which describes itself as an O5R game. Essentially a mix of OSR and FIT, but we'll see if it falls into some of the trappings that we've dealt with in the past. Now, for the sake of clarity, I will post the Drive to RPG link, so you can see it on both YouTube and on Twitch. I don't know why it reposts it like that whenever I post it via the shared one, but it is what it is.
I do like how in this introduction, it basically trusts that you already know something of RPGs.
Mm-hmm. Like for my own project, I was gonna skip the what is an RPG thing, unless I could figure out a way to be unique about the telling of that. Let me pin that message for the time being and have it so that it manually unpins at the end of the stream.
Yeah. So, with that said, this particular project was done by Broken Rat Games. It says 96 pages on Drive-Thru-RPG, and it is 96 pages. And whoops, apparently minimizing it causes things to spaz out. Let me see what the... And as far as some of the other stuff that they've been involved in publishing, it's stuff like Delve, stuff like Ghost Ops and its various forms, which I have covered in the past. Ghost Ops is basically a special ops RPG. It'd be easy to run for Rainbow Six fans, or Arma, or just any Tom Clancy fanboy. Now, would I have someone run The Division with it because of that? No. Because the Tom Clancy-ness in The Division is barely there. Some of the games that have had the Tom Clancy name barely resemble anything he would write. Mm-hmm.
Like one could say that's the case with Siege, but I'd say Siege is closer to the mark than, say, X Defiant, which you can't even play anymore because Ubisoft gonna Ubisoft.
Yep.
Though I did play the beta of it, and honestly, it wasn't that much to write home about. It wasn't bad. It was just I was constantly going, okay, what's the hook?
Is that one of those games? It's like, yeah, it's a game.
It is one of the games of our time, and it really felt like a little brother behavior.
Although a French studio giving up on a game is certainly apropos.
I mean, I've quoted you as saying, "I don't speak surrender."
Mm-hmm. So, and obviously, the devs for this I'm familiar with, because if I haven't done an interview regarding Hunters of the Chalice Lands, but I have interviewed for other things, namely the games The Ruin and Ghost Ops. So, let's see. First things first, do we have an index? We do not. That's one mark. Do we have hyperlinks? We do. Do we have bookmarks? We do. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
That's 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
So, since it's based on the OGL of the world's most popular, we say the most litigious role-playing games with a few OSR elements thrown in. Though, whenever someone says OSR elements, I usually think, okay, so they're trying to be AD&D.
Again.
Yeah, because what... Oh... Because what OSR means seems to just be, we're old school, not like those new school fucks, quote unquote. I know.
I hate that.
Yeah, I know that's not the whole of it, but a lot of people have dichotomy brain when it comes to OSR, which is why I have been so critical of it, because that binary doesn't exist. And trying to pretend that it does, no. But, a lot of these standard stuff is here. Core mechanics is all about roll 20 and roll high. You're targeting a difficulty number, and for combat, you're targeting an armor class. But first off, we have character creation. So you have the 6 attributes, which are going to be strength, dexterity, health, intelligence, and willpower. For all intents and purposes, health is constitution. It is rolled as a 2d6 plus 6 instead of rolling 2d6 and drop the 1, 3d6 and drop the 1. And we have the score setup, which is the ability modifier setup is standard fare for most D20 affairs. So for me personally, it reminds me about why I got rid of ability scores, because I did have them at one point in Legend Edition, but they weren't being used all that much after character creation, so it was just like, I'll just use a modifier. But, let's see, then we have choosing a species. We'll get to the species in a bit. Then gender, self-explanatory. So, first one we have, and admittedly the way I have these spread is going to throw this off. I think that page 2 shouldn't have been there, but I can't really control whether it's odd or even spread, so I just have to work with it. So, first is the dwarf.
Gotta represent the short kings, after all.
Mm-hmm. Starting hit points is 7, movement is 25 feet. They gain +1 to strength and -1 to dexterity, and you get to choose one of 3 talents. First is Stone Lore. +2 when attempting to find water or food deep underground or finding secret entrances and hidden doors. A feat of strength. Once per day, you can display a feat of strength. You get a +2 strength modifier when you're doing that feat. Or backhand swing. When you do a critical, you do double damage and have the option to do a backhand swing second attack. This is rolled with a disadvantage, but otherwise acts as a normal attack. I feel like backhand swing would get the most use out of these three, because Stone Lore is situational, and Feat of Strength, for what it's doing, I don't quite understand why it has to be once per day. Why a
Especially
number go
considering dwarves are just walking slabs of rock, pretty much.
up. Well, you are what you eat.
Yep.
But then we have elves. And I do like that that even in this setting, the tallest elf is still shorter than me. And have rarely reached beyond 6 feet in height. So even at their absolute tallest, I can still call them short. So we have elves are supposed to be better than everyone, but apparently they're not. They're not as good at being short.
Mm-hmm. That belongs to the elf, or not the elves, the dwarves.
Mm-hmm. But starting hit points is 5. Movement is 30 feet. They gain a +1 to dexterity and -1 to strength. And you can choose between the talent of balance. So you have perfect balance. So it says it also helps with being knocked down from attacks that will now only happen on a roll of a critical strike. Energy focus. You gain 1 extra spell per level if you choose the mage class. If you do not choose a magic-based class that has a fighter or a thief, you can cast. Odd to have an E there. 1 cantrip per day, and you gain a new cantrip at 3rd, 6th, and 10th level. I'm going to put a pin on that because I want to see how effective cantrips are in this. If they're trying to channel OSR, then they probably won't be that powerful. If they're trying to channel 5e, they'll be fairly useful. And then Archer. You can make called shots with a -1 penalty rather than -2, and attack 3 times every 2 rounds with a bow. This sort of attack 3 times every 2 rounds always threw me off, because there's never been I don't think there's ever been a consistent explanation as to what that means. Does it mean you attack once one round and then 2 rounds the next, or how is that, or is it full attack and a half? How is it distributed?
I'm reading it as you attack 3 times on 1 turn and then 1 time. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but
Yeah, 3 times every 2. It says 3 times every 2 rounds, but and this was something that was in AD&D as well. Like the fighter had this, especially at high levels. But I feel like it's never properly explained. And Hydra says, I like how elves only -1 to strength rather than -2 constitution from 3.x.
Yep. I remember that.
Around back then, where they were going with that mandate of everyone had to have a +2 and -2. Regardless of how much.
Yeah, they never made any sense to me.
Looking at you, Warforged, that gets a -2 to charisma for reasons I still do not understand. But then we have humans. So the height range for humans is 5'5" to 6'8", with the females averaging 5'1" to 5'10". So within the height range. Let's see. Starting hit points is 6. Movement is 30 feet. And no ability changes. They can gain either Spirit Touch, so you can call upon spirits from your past once per gaming session. You must choose a method of contact and what each spirit specializes in from the spirit choices in the Spirit Magic section of the book. Diplomat. you have a way with words of people, and you can use that to get information once per day using willpower +2. So it's kind of like the feat of strength, just feat of willpower. And once again, I have to ask, why is this once per day? Then ambidextrous. You're trained to use a weapon in each hand. Each weapon must be one-handed of a similar size. This talent cancels out any offhand penalty in combat and allows the character to perform an extra attack per round. Once again, I feel like one of these is going to be more commonly picked than the others because it's not so situational.
Being able to use two weapons at once? Yeah, I'm going for that. Yes, please.
So then we have the backgrounds. Each background gives you one more talent. So Cityborn gives you either High Life, Middle Class, or Gutterborn. And this also determines your starting gear, your starting gear set. Starting gear A is high quality clothing, longsword, horse, 5 gold pieces. B is good quality clothing, dagger, 2 gold pieces. And C is poor quality clothing, dagger, lockpicks, and 3 copper pieces. And then we have criminal ties as one. I'm not sure what free talent is meant when it comes to that. Then we have ex-slave as a potential one. Forest home, herder, nomad, of the sea, plainsman, and stoneborn. And each one has their own associated starting gear. Cityborn is the only one that has 3. And when it comes to the talents, it's a lot of number go up, which is why I didn't go into them in detail. So yeah, and tribal. But then we have the classes. You have to have certain ability scores as a minimum to qualify for certain classes. We're doing that again. Like for warrior, you need strength 12 and health 10. For mage, you need intelligence and willpower 12. For rogue, you need dex 12 and willpower 10. For shaman, you need willpower 12 and instinct 10. I was never a big fan of the whole qualify for a class because what it ends up meaning is that you end up rolling your stats and then building your character concept around. And I'd say a lot of people take the opposite approach. They come up with a character concept and then build their character, fill out the character sheet with that concept in mind. But then we have bonus HP. They'll give a number of HP to the character, which are added to base HP as you level up. This amount always includes the health modifier. So if you choose a warrior and they receive 10 HP, the character's health modifier and the health -2, they get 12. But a set HP per level is more of a 4th edition thing, but we're not supposed to talk about that. But then we have proficiency bonus. This starts at +2, but can rise as high as +5. Everyone tells me that this is akin to the half-level bonus that was in 4th edition, and I vehemently disagree. And it's led to dumbass buzzwords like bounded accuracy being a thing.
I don't even know what that is.
That is a term I've seen thrown about regarding the gap between skilled and unskilled. But the concept is hardly new. But then you have the starting talent. Choose one starting talent from the 3 offered, then specialized talents. Each class has a number of specialized talents you can choose that allow you to specialize in an aspect of the class. These talents will offer benefits that can be chosen as you hit certain levels. Then starting gear, as well as starting cash. Advancing is done with experience points, and we have the XP required set up here. Looks like we're only going to 10th level, and some of the things that you can get experience out of. But then we have the first class we've got is the warrior class, and much like in the old days, you have the whole thing of only getting set class HP halfway through, and then it's just your health modifier for the other half. Something I was never fond of.
Something I don't even do in my own games.
But you get and you get the feature list. So, as one would expect, they can equip any weapon and armor type. A lot of those potential options don't matter because you're probably going to be picking some sort of heavy weapon and some sort of large shield or heavy armor, because that's the way these things work. And proficiency bonus is +2 at 1 through 4, +3 at 5 through 7, +4 at 8, +3 at 1 at 5 through 7, +4 at 8, 9, and 5 at 10. Which I suppose is expected. But then we have the starting talent. You can choose between Battle Roar. Once per session, you can let out a roar of defiance. All enemies facing the party must make a willpower saving throw or be stunned. Battle Sense, +2 to initiative or two-handed mastery, +2 damage with two-handed weapons. Then the specialized talents. So we have Berserker. Once per session, you can go into a Berserker Rage. Your 2-hit and damage increase by +2. You ignore the effects of damage or magic until the battle ends. Scar Tissue, +1 AC. Rapid Fire, you can fire 2 shots per round. Marksman, you can make called shots at -2 to the enemy AC. Arrow Strike, you can use an arrow to stab an enemy that gets too close, treating it as
So we're doing the Legolas.
Yep. Blessing, you can heal yourselves or someone else for 1d8 HP. Holy Shield, you can call upon your god to protect you and your comrades, which gains a +1 AC to the party until the end of the battle. And Holy Blade, which causes your weapon to do double damage to all evil creatures struck by it for d6 rounds. So
Well, I do kick ass for the Lord.
Yep. So it feels like they brute forced a bit of paladin into warrior, but from being honest, I feel like we're still back at that whole basic attack, and this is where the romanticization of simplicity comes back to bite. Because I'm pretty sure there'd be the argument of, oh, we don't want you to have 1.5 billion feats. You can have tactical variety and still not have 1 billion feat options. I've seen it happen.
Not to mention, with this class, it feels like they put more emphasis onto certain other classes, like you'd see in other games, like in the Paladin, for instance. But it looks like they also got some Ranger, maybe 1 Fighter and 1 Barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you're trying to build your character a certain way, kind of makes this a little weak.
And you're only getting 2 specialized talents. One at 5th and one at 10th.
I'm not like as a currently a paladin player, I like Holy Shield's cool, I guess. Like, and I wouldn't, like, if I wanted to play a holy character, this is not the character I would play. Like, it doesn't feel like it even fits, being honest. Like, it feels like it's supposed to be somewhere else. Like, you got all this berserker crap and all this fighter stuff and all this, and oh, hello, I'm a paladin now.
Mhm.
It just doesn't fit.
Yeah. And when it comes, not to mention when I look at the other features, okay, you get a talent and starting gear at first, +1 to ability at second, +2 to damage rolls at third, enemy marked, +1 to hit against a chosen foe. You choose a monster type as a sworn enemy, so that's dipping a bit into ranger. Then you get your specialized talent, then +1 to an ability, then +2 to all damage rolls. Wonder if that stacks. Enemy marked becomes +2 to hit at level 8. Choose your second talent at level 9, and +1 to ability at 10. I feel like we're back at the basic fighter problem.
Mhm.
I mean, is it as bad as some games have it with the basic fighter problem? No. But it is still there. But that brings us to the mage class. So you can only use light armor and simple weapons. Your HP is 6 plus health. Proficiency bonus is all actions involving magic or knowledge and the use of intelligence. Saving throws involving intelligence and willpower. Bit of a typo there. Your talents are alchemy. You can add your proficiency bonus when brewing or mixing concoctions. True sight. You can see auras around magical objects. And blood magic. You can enhance a spell to double its power, but if you do so, you lose 1d6 HP.
Kind of a risk reward
Like
thing.
that. Honestly, though, like, unless the spells are like super good, why would you do that? Like, especially with it, so say you use blood magic, you don't have anything extra for the health, and you roll a 6, you literally killed yourself possibly for like 5 damage. That doesn't like that doesn't feel like it's worth it.
Mhm.
I mean, just saying.
Or you could end up or you can end up trying to like suicide bomb people, but you trip and
suicide
fall
bomb.
like one step, and then it's all for nothing.
It just doesn't. I don't know. I don't like that very. Like it again. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be a mage.
Yeah. I get what it's trying to do with blood magic. I'm putting a pin on that until we get to the spell systems proper. It does say, as far as the features, +1 to ability at second. At third, you can magically infuse wands and staffs. At 4, you can detect magic. At 5, specialized talent. At 6, +1 to an ability. At 7, advantage to intelligence-based lore rolls. At 8, you can infuse rings and amulets. At 9, your second specialized talent. And at 10, ability boost.
So we are playing an artificer.
But then we have the specialized talents. First is control undead. You can attempt to control an undead corpse by rolling willpower versus the willpower of the necromancer that created the undead, or versus 15, whichever is lowest. Brink of Death. You can resurrect a party member that's died, but there may be complications. If it's 2 rounds after death, no complications. 3 rounds, they lose 1 intelligence permanently. 5 rounds, they lose 1 intelligence and 1 strength permanently. And 6 or more, you can only bring them back with magic. Then we have Shield of Darkness. You have advantage when resisting spirit magic. Blood Tinge. Once per session, you can enhance your spells to double the power without losing any HP. We have True Path. You can see a magical path leading to magical objects up to 30 feet away. Otherwise acts like the True Sight talent. Herbalist. All potions and poisons you create are at double strength, and you gain your proficiency bonus when foraging for ingredients. Animal tongue. You can communicate with one type of animal of your choice. If you have instinct above 15, you can also have a familiar. And moon blessed. During a full moon, all of your abilities are increased by +1 for the duration of the full moon. Again, the mage here is a kit bash of several archetypes.
Yeah, like there's druid, there's necromancer, there's alchemist, like
There's like one cleric thing.
there's a cleric thing. I mean, it kind of feels like they wanted to have like an artificer without calling it an artificer. Like you could call it a mad scientist or something like that, and it would fit just as well, you know?
But then we have the rogue class. So they start at 8 plus health. So their starting talents can either be acrobat, penalty. You are advantaged when dodging and only take half damage from falls. Penalties from moving along narrow ledges are halved. Deceive. You gain advantage while trying to deceive another person and gain your proficiency bonus when deceiving whilst in disguise. And stealth. People searching are at a disadvantage to find you using dogs or other devices gives them no bonus to perception.
So, in other words, Link from Ocarina of Time when falling from a high ledge and just rolling and not taking any damage whatsoever. I want to say Wei Shen from Sleeping Dogs with a fast talk, and then Solid Snake with the cardboard box.
And for the special...
Or even the wizard from Hogwarts Legacy with stealth, like literally nothing can find you unless you...
Well, with a game like Hogwarts Legacy, you're a jack-of-all-trades character, period.
Well, I'm just talking about the spell disillusionment in general. I'm not talking about the rest of that.
But then for specialized talents, we have Spider Climb. When climbing sheer surfaces, you get your proficiency bonus. True Value. You can tell with a intelligence versus 10 DN check the value of an item. Trap Breaker. You can receive advantage on spotting and disarming traps. Poison Expert. Poisons are bruised with twice the strength as normal, so last twice as long and do twice damage. Musical Healer. You've learned the bardic ability to heal the party through music. Once per session, you can heal the party 1d6 HP. And Song of Valor. Once per session, you can sing a song of war and heroism and give everyone a +1 to hit and damage.
I have whiplash right now.
So again, assassin, I guess some form of ranger and bard.
Yeah, I mean, it says thief, spy, assassin, and bard, but like, I got. So you've got the rogue stuff, like you have your thief, assassin type thing, and then it's just randomly, hello, now I'm a musical healer, but I'm actually like what? It just doesn't. I don't see how those fit together. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just not. I mean, deceive plus I don't know.
But as far as other features, at 3rd you get advantage to poison saves. At 4th you can attempt to dodge the free action. At 5th and 9th you get your specialized talents. At 6th, +1 to an ability. At 7th you can detect magic. At 8 you get expanded critical, and at 10 you get +1 to an ability. Okay. Then we have the Shaman class. At level 3, they get you no longer leave tracks. At 4th, advantages to resist poison. At 6th, +1 to an ability. At 7th, meditating for 4 hours equals a night's sleep. At 8th, poison has no effect on you. And at 10th, choose one ability. Alright, so their HP is 6 plus health. Armor is light, weapons are simple weapons only, and they get proficiency bonus on all actions involving magic, animals, nature, and knowledge. The talents are Beastmaster. Animals won't attack you, and you gain advantage when attempting to control them. Healer. You can heal 1d6 HP to anyone 3 times per day. And Spirit Paths. You can mark a location up to 500 feet away and travel there via the Spirit Realms. This means you will disappear and reappear in that location. This will take the same amount of time as it would just walking there without the obstacles or threats along the way. So it's not full spirit, not full teleporting. And then we have their specialized talents. So Chameleon, you're almost invisible as long as you stand completely still for 1 round in a forest or some natural environment. It's a DC of 20 to spot you. Cure, you cure all poison and disease affecting yourself or others once per day. Endurance, you can walk for days without need for rest, food, or water. Iron Skin, AC plus 2, HP plus 6, lasts a number of rounds equal to your willpower. And Earth Blessing, once per session you can bless those around you, making them immune to poison and disease for 2 hours. Or Inscrutable Power, you're able to tattoo words and symbols of power onto others. These tattoos are permanent and will cost you 1d10 HP. The number of HP lost will determine the strength of the power. The HP will heal back normally.
So, almost pure druid, it feels like. I mean, at least this one knows what it is.
Yes, this one knows what it is. This one, okay. As the other ones, it looks kind of like that they were just trying to take other classes and kind of mismatch them all together. This one, it was like, okay, I know what I want to do with this. This is one, but this also kind of feels like the World of Warcraft druid, shaman mixed with the WoW hunter at the same time. So,
it's, again, that whole kit bashing of archetypes. I get it's clear that they wanted to try and do the original 4.
I was kind of feeling that with all of these, with the 3 starting talents of each of those. You pick one, you go down that path, and it's you've got you've got a path, and they want you to follow it, and then you get a little bit of specialization here and there of other things, if you want it.
Yeah. So then we have the gear, starting with just the non-stat related gear. So for encumbrance, you have a number of slots equal to your strength ability. All items have a slot number based on weight. Any worn items are not counted as taking up slots, only ones that are carried.
I mean, I can sort of dig that.
The Black Hack and Runehammer does a similar thing. Let's see, then we have AC, which is 10 plus Dex. Wearing armor increases armor class. I've always found it odd that heavier armor means you dodge easy. Then the time it takes to remove armor, armor durability. So each time you get hit with a critical while wearing armor, the armor's durability goes down by 1. If it reaches 0, you don't get its benefits.
All Final Fantasy Legend.
Shields increase your AC and are carried in one hand. Shields also have durability. Looks like no shield bashing for us here.
I don't know. If I wanted to break off a piece of metal in someone's chest by shield bashing them, I mean, that could be useful.
But then we have the armor table, which is pretty standard, I'd say.
Yeah.
There's a wide variety of armor to choose from. Everything from leather to plate. The leather armor is probably the weakest.
But then we have one-handed weapons, which are doing a dice-based damage setup. And given the damage setup here,
This means that for most characters, a solid hit is going to take you down in one go early on. You know, because of how low HP is.
Well, you know how some of the OSR people are. They like making characters because they always kill them.
Mhm. Not sure what it says about some people from that crowd if they're building characters stat first just to kill them off. I mean, I've had some people tell me complete dead ass that their favorite module is Tomb of Horrors.
I was about to say Tomb of Horrors.
Which, if Tomb of Horrors is your favorite module, I have some very pointed questions to ask you.
First of that is what? Second is the fuck.
Pretty much. So then we have the different types of pack animals. I like that we have Sauroid as a pack animal. Then the types of lodging, then potions and poisons. And then we get into rolling the dice. A lot of this is pretty standard fare. You have it, though reputation is a new one. You have a reputation sliding scale. When you begin your adventures, the scale is set to 0. I feel like there should be a comma right around here. Actually, no, it's the fact that right here there should be an is.
Mm-hmm.
Or something. Basically, this sentence, that I don't like the wording of it. Bad deeds lower your reputation. Good deeds raise it. Then they go into combat, which is standard fare. Strength for melee attack, and dexterity for ranged attacks. And going into damage, then healing. If you rest for 8 hours, you should roll a 20-sided dice and add your health modifier. If you equal or exceed the difficulty, you receive your modifier times 3 back in HP. Though, what's the difficulty in that case?
I think that's probably decided by the GM.
Never mind, it says here.
No, it's here.
Quarter HP lost, 10. Half, 13. 3/4, 16. On your last hit point, 20.
So there's, even if you get out of a fight alive and get to safety, there's probably a chance you're going to die.
There's no death saves, but if you take 0 HP, you fall unconscious. And if you take more damage equal to your health modifier, geez, English monk, then you die. A saving throw is just a D20 roll with any modifiers. You need a 10. Not a 10, a 12 to succeed. See, then we have travel, which is self-explanatory here. And then we get to magic. Shaman and mages can cast spells, though how they do so differs. To cast a spell or use magic, you need to make a check using the appropriate ability. Arcane uses intelligence, Spirit uses willpower, versus 10 plus the spell's level. If the spell is directed at a target, then the difficulty is the target's AC if the spell is offensive, or 10 plus willpower if the spell is mental. Failing a spell means that the spellcaster must roll on the spell failure table for the type of magic they are resisting.
And then we have the we have what it looks like we are doing the Vancian model here. So we have PC level, then spell levels. The casting limit is you can cast spells from their level and below, and can cast the spells a number of times per day equal to their intelligence modifier, arcane, or willpower modifier, spirit. What? So is this supposed to be the amount of spells you can carry, and what we saw earlier is the spell slots?
I suppose.
Remind me why I'm supposed to like the Vancian model again?
I have no argument for.
Eh.
Let's see, you can.
The only thing I've ever heard is so that you don't spam higher level spells all the time.
Yeah, but people do that anyways.
Yeah.
No, I know, but that was literally the only thing I've heard is the one argument I've had that I've heard for it is, oh, but if you have 200 MP and a level 9 spell costs 10 MP, then you have 200, then you can cast it 20 times. And I fail to see the problem.
There's that. Two, that doesn't tell me as much as people think. And hey there, Quinn. Welcome to the party.
Level 9.
If you, I'd say that's more a consequence of trying to force spell slots into being an MP system. Doesn't work. But then you have spell focus, then failed spells. If you fail the spell, roll on the table below to see what happens. So this is basically wild magic. So you can either take damage, make a loud bang, you're stunned, the whole party gets frozen in place for a full round, the nearest enemy gets healed, party members slow down losing their dex modifiers for a few rounds, spell rebounds on you, or spell detonates causing d6 damage to everyone within 10 feet, or hits wrong target, or a different random spell is cast. And you can prepare scrolls during downtime, but there's no need to prepare spells to use the next day. Like with ranged attacks, you can decide to hold back your turn until the end of a round if you choose. And we have scrolls and wands. Only mages and shamans can use scrolls and wands. Anyone with a talent for casting or scrolls can use them. And then we have the different spells available. So cantrips, which look like they're in the earlier types where cantrips were not the fire and forget spells. They were just little tricks. And, going into each one. Which, I appreciate that the spell description is pretty straightforward, but on the other hand, let me see how. Okay, so the amount of spells per level caps at 5. But still, even though they don't say it, this is the Vancian model.
Mm-hmm.
But arcane magic is resisted using willpower versus a DN of 20 plus the caster's intelligence modifier. Whereas a spirit spell is resisted using willpower versus 10 plus will modifier. And a lot of the spells are what you'd expect, but I still don't like it because we're dealing with the Vancian model, and I do not care for that.
And again, there's only really 2 schools of spells. Basically, wizards and clerical magic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it because the risk reward of, say, like blood magic, for example, just isn't there for me. Like, even looking at all these, it's just not there for me. Like, the Fireball, maybe, but that's like, okay, yay, 10d6. But by the time you get Fireball, you'll be able to get the Blood Pierce, whatever it is, the Blood Burst or whatever it is. But it's like there's risk reward doesn't exactly jive on that. But the thing with the elf and the extra spells, I mean, that is kind of cool with it. So I guess
We guess.
I have to talk a bit about the Repulse Undead spell. When I think Repulse, I think the discs of repulsion from like Heretic or Hexen. Just send them fucking flying in all directions.
Why you
I
gotta
think of
bring up
Repulse,
cool
though.
shit in front of our shit?
I mean, honestly, when I saw Repulse, I was like, I internally said Repulso, and so I mean, same kind of thing. Send them flying, not send them fleeing. Send them flying. So
I mean, we haven't had a good time of this far, so I had to make us laugh at something.
Fair.
it's honestly like the magic is lackluster.
Oh.
Like Final Fantasy 1 has more magic than this.
Why the fuck is Sea Aura a 4th level spell? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I asked myself that about Firebolt being a 3rd level spell.
A third out of 5.
And like, well, and also, I could cast Arcane Bolt at 1st level and take 2d6 damage, but Firebolt is 2d6 damage plus 1 from burning. So does it only cause that burning damage, or does it cause that damage and then that damage from burning? Because then that makes it a little bit more, attractive.
But
Otherwise, it's kind of pointless.
yeah. But then we have the magic rings. You can wear up to 4 rings with magical effects, and these will stack. Let's see, and rings have a constant effect, so the magic is always active as long as you're wearing the ring. And you can randomly roll the style of the ring and the effect of it. And a lot of the effects are basically number go up. But then we have alchemy. So this is your potion and poison brewing. So first, creating the concoction. Once the ingredients have been found, we move into the brewing phase. This will involve heat, a pot, and something to pour the potion or poison into once completed. Finding of ingredients will require a successful forage, intelligence versus DN 15, or some ingredients can be bought from traders. The complexity of the concoction will determine the difficulty number that needs to be beaten in order for the brew to be successful. Failure means the batch is useless and the alchemist will lose all ingredients and have to start from the beginning. Now, if you crit, it means the concoction is twice as powerful. If you fumble, then the wrong ingredients were picked or bought, and with brewing this, it means the healing potion has become a poison, or vice versa. GMs should decide this secretly, as the player would not know the result. Of course, a fumble could also mean the concoction explodes, causing 2d6 damage to everyone within 10 feet.
Oh god, someone made the oil of impact again. I do like this. I will say that it's very. I haven't seen very many TTRPGs that even attempt at something like this.
There's some that do, and some that do it very poorly. But then we have
I had to find like homebrews and stuff whenever it came for that, then we ended up forgetting it forgetting
5e doesn't do item creation, and I know the reason why, and the reason why is pants on head retarded.
See, as I said, I found homebrews for that because I had party members who wanted to create items.
Yeah, there's been homebrews and there's been official ones, and they go all over the place because there's no guiding factor.
because
Nor consistency.
Pearls and company said, "Oh, we left it blank so that people could come up with their own items and their own creation methods," which is bullshit. But then we have ingredients and the availability of ingredients, as well as their DN to get. Common ones have a DN of 10, uncommon 15, rare 20, and very rare 30. We also have the SP cost of ingredients. And then we have
Wait. So you're telling me that I can get a dragon tongue easier than I can get venom from a snake? And a flower? I'm offended. Can't get a dragon tongue that easy.
You know, there's a very crass joke I could make, but I'm not going to do it.
You know, I probably had the same thought as you, so I'm just going to shut up and just leave it alone.
But here's where we get
sleep.
to one of the reasons why I have such a hostile relationship with item creation in so many games. Is the fact that the items that you need are always very, very specific. Now, I know one might say, oh, you only have that problem in TTRPGs. No, I have that problem in video games too. It's the reason I don't play survival games. Like, you're not going to see me play Rust or No Man's Sky or 7 Days to Die or the Forest. Of course, the other reason is that I've been burned by a few of them. A few unfortunate early access projects.
That's why I'm very dubious with anything early access.
There's plenty more hits than misses, and I'm certainly not going to be one of those types that assumes every early access game is a scam. I know some performative cynics will do that, but I'm not one of them. But when I see crafting and survival and early access, as well as open world, that's when I get nervous. Those are what Mandalore calls cursed runes. But when it comes to potions and poisons, the specificity of ingredients I have an issue with, as well. But I will admit, the whole effect increase with DN 10, 15, 20 is nice. I'm not sure if you should call it effect increase with anti-venom and anti-toxin, especially when they both have a cure effect. So I don't really see the point in being separate things. And when it comes to the poisons, it doesn't. It lists the length, but we don't have any idea on the effects of the poisons, which that is an issue. But then it gets into the setting, the Chalice lands. And it is a standard low fantasy setting, though it's in part called that because of the sea that's in the middle of mountains. Like, I won't say a sea; it's more of a big ass lake and mountains.
It's
like
a crater.
Yeah, it's a crater, which admittedly isn't that bad of an idea. But when it comes to the setting, it's a fairly standard approach. But then we have the bestiary. And it had a lot. The bestiary setup is pretty standard, I'd say. Especially if you've seen games like this. But
Let me see if there's anything past the bestiary that I need to talk about. Although there are some interesting monsters we've got here. And then it has a adventure called The Hunt, which has a 2-level dungeon delve. Then we have the character sheet, which is very much a Runehammer designed character sheet. I know this format anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like Night Shift.
Well, they talked about artifacts, but we didn't see any artifacts.
Nope.
So
That's where I'd put my artifact, if I had one.
unless there were ones in the.
I don't see any artifacts.
Nope. Oh. Ooh, a plus 2 battle axe. Whoopee.
And I also found your potions and like what they do. They're earlier in the book.
What page?
42. The
Oh,
answer
right,
to life,
there
the
it-
universe,
there
and
it is
everything.
there. Not a big fan of having it split like that, but you do you, I suppose. So that is pretty much all there is when it comes to Hunters of the Chalice Lands. I know we skipped a bunch of the Chalice Land setting, but this feels like one of those cases where it has a setting but also does not have a setting. You know, that kind of thing.
It was kind of painful to go through. I mean, I could see this being done for like a single game or whatnot, but I don't see anyone doing this long term.
No.
Yeah. I get wanting to try. I get that it wants to be this mix of elements between, some OSR stuff and some 5e stuff, but I feel like there's a bit of a no man's land when it comes to that. Mostly because it took all of the bad habits from both.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like the health cutoff thing, the return of the Vantian model, which as an aside, if you're going to be romanticizing simplicity, why are you having a spell system that requires you to track multiple levels? Why?
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that if they were trying to go for simplicity's sake, but it feels like they overcomplicated it a little more than they needed to.
And I'm just speaking on that in a general term because I hear the simplicity part romanticized a lot when it comes to this sort of thing, when it comes to retro clones and the like. But here's the burr up my ass when it comes to this sort of thing. When it comes to these sorts of games, you know, this kind of throwback. Consider this. See, you and I have played through our fair share of boomer shooters over the years.
Mm-hmm.
A lot
Yes,
of them
indeedy.
are throwbacks to shooters from the 90s, especially Doom, Quake, maybe the build engine Holy Trinity, one or two that are drawing upon Wolfenstein. But I don't think very many of them are trying to mimic the 90s shooters wholesale.
It's more of an homage, because you're never going to be able to replicate, beat for beat exactly what the old shooters tried to do. But what I'm gonna use Project Warlock for example, because that's one of my favorite ones. Project Warlock 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you can see a lot of elements of like Castle Wolfenstein and whatnot, but it is its own identity, and it takes very special care to establish that. Same with Project Warlock 2.
Yeah. I had called Project Warlock Wolfenstein without the bullshit.
You're not wrong.
And I know one might say Wolfenstein 3D is a classic. Why would you say without the bullshit? Do you not remember the fucking mutants?
There's always one more.
Yeah, and it always off-screens me.
And they usually just one-shot you.
Hmm. There's that, and there's a case of the what is known as the murder room by Civi, but also known as the nope room. You know, you open one door and you hear Stutzschaffel about 18 times.
But that's only after you fire a shot in the first room, and then the whole level just comes and converges on that location.
Mm-hmm. But the point is that a lot of throwback style video games that we've seen over the years use what came before, use the OGs as a starting point. But a lot of retro clone, a lot of OSR games start and end with just emulating what came before, cleaning up the text a little bit, but keeping all the same problems. And I feel like with Hundreds of the Chalice Lands, it's in that category. And could I see this being played as a beer and pretzels thing? Kinda. The problem is I hesitate to answer. What's differentiating it from other beer and pretzels games? Because
comedy, pure comedy.
Yeah, there is that. Some of the other beer and pretzels games in my library do not take themselves very seriously. You know, games like Drinking Quest, where when you die, you can come back, but you have to take a shot of whatever's available.
Oh, that sounds great.
It is a drinking game and a TTRPG. And if you're gonna call your game Drinking Quest, then I think you gotta deliver on that promise.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, I think one of the other things that baffled us was when it came to the talent system. You have some talents that are way too useful, and some talents that are not useful enough.
Mm-hmm. Especially for those people that, for whatever reason, and I've never understood this, like to min-max, because they're...
Oh, you cut out for a second. You there, man?
What's going on with your audio there, Mildra?
Yeah, Discord decided to lock up on me. Don't know what happened there. But as far as what grade...
It's being Discord. That's all I can really say about that.
Mm-hmm. Quinn says, may have caught the tail end here, but this one seems kind of rough, to be honest. Yeah. Now, the price has gone down right now on DriveThruRPG. It's only $3. The MSRP on it is $13, which, for what we have here, I feel $13 is a bit much.
I feel like they should pay me money.
And well,
no, well, I guess we're not the only one because the review average on the thing is 3 out of 5, but somehow it's a silver bestseller on Drive-Thru RPG.
I think that has more to do with the number that was, sold versus, overall reviews.
Mhm. But in terms of stuff from Broken Rat Games, if you want something like this, you'd be much better served with a game like Delve or The Black Iron, which are a little bit higher priced, and by a little bit I mean like the Black Iron is $16 instead of $13.
Mhm.
But there's a lot more in terms of content there. This one, the art is nice. The character sheet certainly is certainly plenty readable. But when it comes to everything, when it comes to the content, I understand wanting to try and go with the original 4 ones. When it comes to the talent thing, there need to be more talents. I'm just gonna put that out there right now.
I kind of disagree with that. I feel like that would just exacerbate the problem even more.
Well, if not more talents, then more opportunities to get talents.
Mm-hmm. Now that I can agree with.
Because with what we have here, you have 4 talent. You have at the start you have 1 talent from your race, 1 from your background, and 1 from your class at the start. That's 3 talents. Then you're gonna be getting 2 more as you go up the ranks. I'm not sure if that's enough.
And being it goes on from only 1 to 10, it's like I said before, this feels like more like a shorter term thing rather than like big campaigns.
Mm-hmm. And I know that some would romanticize this because of the OSR and say that, oh, if you want something properly packaged like that with a bunch of abilities, just go play D&D. And I'm like, I have seen old school games that don't fall for this. I have covered old school games on this channel that don't fall into this trap. One such example is Axe. Axe does not fall for this bullshit. Another example is everything that Crawford's been putting out in the Without Number series. You don't see this problem there. In fact, Godbound and the Without Number series of games, which I think now we're at a quadrilogy, or a quartet, depending on which word is better for you.
I can go with quartet.
You don't have. It's a very modular experience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, does it have the spells per day thing? Yeah, it does, but you can mess around with it. It also has a much more robust talent system. And
I just think the problem with the talent system is that a lot of the things that the talents give you are just becoming too good to use. That's my biggest problem with them. Like the blood thing and that one's 1 per session. Okay.
You're really hung up on the blood magic thing.
I don't like it. It is very grumpy to me. But it also, there's a lot of other spots on there that are like once per session. Okay, well now what's the point of me using that? Like
It is very much an artifact of the of that old school tradition where those kind of things were all over the place. See also the Vancian model with spell casting.
Again, some of those too good to use, and it kind of makes me grumpy.
You have that in 5e with the whole once per short or long rest.
Mm-hmm. but this one's like once per session. So, like, say that if you are, I don't know, in a flying castle that happens to go 8 days in one session, from, you know, a barbarian village to a kobold village, and you happen to fight twice during that and get into a battle at the very end of that, then, oh look, I don't have my once per day or once per freaking session thing that might actually completely make this battle a joke. So it's that kind of thing. Not speaking from any specific campaign or anything.
Yeah. I can certainly get that. So for me personally, even with some of the things I thought were cute ideas, I don't think it's enough. And the grade I'd probably give Hunters of the Chalice Lands is a void. Which is saying something, because that is a grade I rarely give out.
It feels like it's trying to take itself too seriously and not seriously enough simultaneously, as well as it's trying to be simple but complicated at the same time, and I don't like it.
But when it comes to throwback games, there's unfortunately better options. Even from the people who made this. And
I'm going to stab freaking Discord.
Can I stab it first?
Why?
Because you cut out again and we couldn't hear you for a bit.
Fair. Oh. But with that said, that is going to do it for this particular episode of The Valley. We will be back with a whole new season in about a week. And as far as what that season will entail, now originally we were going to be doing Embryo Machine next week, but then things happened. Big things happened, and I was forced to pivot. So instead, what we are going to be doing is Draw Steel. And the big reason we're doing Draw Steel is the fact that after a long time waiting, the PDFs for that have finally dropped into my lap.
Gasp.
I'm actually looking forward to this one because I'm wondering what MCDM, has done with it.
Yeah. I've done a couple videos on it. I did one on the beta, and I did a live stream talking about what we could see from the backer kit. I can say a few things for certain. It is purely focused on being a heroic fantasy. It isn't trying to be a gritty fantasy, or it isn't trying to claim that it can do all kinds of fantasy but not commit. Unlike some games I could name. But I did look at a few things. It's definitely channeling a lot of 4th edition's energy, which continues to make me laugh. But from what little I did see back when I looked at the beta, a lot of the problems that I had with say 5th or the like
not going to be here. And I will note this, like I said the last time, I have not watched a single video from Matt Colvin. Not any of the actual plays, not any of his player or GM advice things. The only thing I know of Matt Colville from is the books that he's put out, which admittedly are pretty damn good. Things like Strongholds and Followers and Flea Mortals are very, very good books. And his project was one of the first 5e breakoffs that I saw get announced during the OGL fiasco a few years ago. But because of the fact that that the last time I talked about it was that beta, which was when it was still being called the MCDM RPG, I covered the playtest back in February, and when I covered the backer kit, that was when it had launched, and that was in 2023. But as far as I'm concerned, since that was only covering the first playtest, I am throwing everything I said at that time out the window.
That's fair. Gotta approach this with a fresh, perspective.
Yeah, I am trying to approach this with as fresh of a perspective as I can. And I'll certainly have a better understanding of this than Ben Riggs did when he tried to claim that the difference between it and 5e was, well, instead of rolling a d20 to attack, you roll 3d6. Ignoring the fact that early on, you don't do an attack roll, you just straight do damage. Was one of the selling points. Which might seem blasphemous to some, but I have to ask why. I think the reason it might be blasphemous is because of peer pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I was, in the hindsight, this might be for the best, because if we did do Embryo Machine, that'd mean we'd be doing 2 sci-fi ones, and since I'm already doing one of the other 5e responses with Daggerheart on Thursday, I figured doing another response on Friday to have a bit of contrast will be a nice touch. Plus, I'm not expecting DC-20 to be done for quite a while. It's making progress, but it's nowhere near at 1.0 yet. And I know this because Dungeon Coach puts out the roadmap for the project and how certain things are progressing. And there's still a bunch of stuff that's red and not green.
Well, once DC-20 comes out, I am right there with you for that one.
Mm-hmm. I do know that it was recently revealed that DC-20 has partnered up with Project Hedron, which is a VTT that wants to support homebrewing as part of its selling point. When I covered it on this channel about a year ago, it was originally known as Tabletop Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
I think Project Hedron's a better name, especially since the logo looks like 2 D20s that have gone through an Atom Smasher. No, not that Atom Smasher. I think they'd look a little bit bloodier if that was the case. But with that said, that's going to do it for this particular episode of The Valley. I know this was a shorter one, but the one-shots usually are shorter ones. So, with that said, we will see you next week, and I will be back here tomorrow with some more shenanigans. So keep an eye out for that. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
Posso